The first aspect that I want to talk about as a retiree is the emotional impact of retirement. It's the anxiety, because as soon as you get the letter that says you are now going to be retiring in a year, that's when the anxiety starts. However, for me, it didn't start when I got the letter. It really started 2 years before the time, when I knew then that in the next 2 years you are going to be retiring. That's when the anxiety and the emotional, I felt the emotions of retirement. Because then the issue for me was, so what am I going to do? Who am I? I've got now I'm going to have 24 hours at home. What about my identity? And that's really the serious emotional part for me. And then I had to really start thinking, like I said, 2 years beforehand, I really had to start thinking about who am I and how am I going to deal with it? And it basically meant for me that I would wake up at 3:00 in the morning and start getting anxious. And that anxiety is also not sharing it with the rest of the team, because you kind of think, you should have known that this is what's going to happen. So why are you starting to feel anxious? So that's the part that I wasn't sharing with anyone, but I felt it. And I think the emotional part of it as well is that it manifested as well, in physically, emotionally, and mentally, because you think you've got this, you think you understand. And I think as an HR professional as well, you think I can handle this, because you've dealt with so many people that have gone, that have retired before you. You've counseled, you've given advice, you've told people, you've done the sessions with the various professionals that deal with retirement. But when it lands differently. Because now you are the recipient. And for me, like I said, 2 years before the time, and literally having to go day by day, having to deal with the emotions of being a retiree. And I think the most important part of it is the identity, because as I said, I've always been known as the HR professional. So now I've got an additional title that says a retired HR professional. And then what does that mean? That had a serious impact on me. And then I had to start thinking differently and really planning on what do I need to do to really start living and really coming out of the funk, for it of a better word, the funk of being a retiree and being practical about it, which then took me to the next step of checking what it really means.